What are some good ways to really get to know somebody when you're doing lots of interviews? That's what we're talking about on today's Tread Talk. And I've done a lot of interviewing, and I've gotten the luxury of teaching a lot of different people how to interview. And when you're in the restaurant space, you have tons of turnover. So effective interviewing and consistent interviewing, meaning the team has to be comfortable doing it, because people don't really do things consistently they're not comfortable with. Regular hiring, effective hiring, and consistent hiring is extremely important in the restaurant industry. So one of the things I like to recommend here when you're having to do a lot of interviews and you're having to do them quickly, in order to actually get to know who you want to potentially hire so that you can make a good decision, an informed decision, is this. This is the trick. So find a way to get them to tell you a story. And the reason that is it gets them out of the frame of essentially auditioning or acting or attempting to portray their best self to you, the interviewer. A lot of interviewers in their early stages of hiring will be uncomfortable, and that's a little bit of a trap, because so is the interviewee. And as the interviewer, you need to be evaluating the interviewee. So if you're uncomfortable likely because you're self-conscious in some way, which is where that discomfort typically comes from. If you're self-conscious, you're focused on you. You're conscious of yourself. If you're focused on you, who are you not focused on? The interviewee. Now, they're probably nervous too, so recognize that. And they're trying to put on their best impression so they can get the job. So they're doing something that's slightly performative. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. We've all done that. But your job as the interviewer is to pull them out of that, because you don't want that. You don't want to know who they want you to think they are. You want to be able to interview who they actually are. The way that you do that is you get them to tell you a story, so their conscious attention is focused on the story more than they're focused on you. You need to get them out of the act and into either a real life experience or who they really are. Another way you can do that, especially if you don't have a lot of time, is ask them something they did not expect. So many people are coming into the interview expecting you to ask questions about different elements of the job. Now that's important. You need to establish expectations. You need to talk about that stuff. But what they're not expecting you to do is ask them, about random off-the-wall stuff. Ask them their favorite color for roof shingles and watch their reaction. How do they respond to receiving a question that they weren't prepared for and they really don't know how to answer? And what that does, A, it gives you a shot into how are they going to handle that, but B, they're out of their expectation of how it was going to go, so they get more into a less performative and rehearsed version of themselves, and then you get to engage with that person. Now, if they don't come out of that shell at all, that's information too. They're telling you, I'm not going to come out of my shell. Now, you might need somebody that's just going to be like an accountant. I'm going to execute. I'm going to execute. That's cool. However you evaluate these people is up to you as the interviewer. But throw them a curveball. Switch it up.